So I wanted to show you guys this tweet I tweeted out not too long ago. And it was a good one, you know. I wanted to voice my opinion after the quest line that we did, right? I said Rathian and Sibelian can bicker all they want. I'm officially a simp for Abyssian after the 10.0.7 questline cutscene. Right in the feels, man. And if you guys don't know, if you haven't done the questline yet, it's amazing. This cutscene, the music, the emotion, the conversation, it's unbelievable. In essence, you know, Abyssian gets confronted about just not being around, you know, when shit hit the fan for the Black Dragonflight. And he talks about the shame he felt about, you know, being one of Deathwing or Neltharian's kin, you know, and then the time when he betrayed all the Dragonflights. And you know, he says, now it's time. I need to help. I need to work on this. And he gets asked to help. And he looks with his dragon eyes and his sassy face, and he goes, "We will help each other." That's right. So it was a great cutscene, and right away, remember, Abyssian was Ebonhorn. He was known as Ebonhorn in BFA. Badass. And I'm not going to lie, he's the most qualified, I think, to lead the Black Dragonflight. I've always talked about the fact that I like Rathian more than Sibelian, and I stand by that. I think Rathian's a better Black Dragon than Sibelian, because Sibelian's just a bitch who just sat around in Blade's Edge doing nothing this entire time. And I don't even believe that he's not corrupted. But anyways, the true leader, and the man who should really take the reins, Abyssian, I'm a total simp for at this point. And I'm not the only one who feels this way. The reason why I'm talking about this is because of this. It looks like Taliesin and Evitel feel the same way. At least that's what I'm gathering by this title. Now, I haven't watched this video, but I guarantee you they're going to say that Abyssian should be the new leader of the Black Dragonflight. I'm interested to see why. Maybe they're simps as well. So let's check out this video, and then we're going to get into our time walking raid.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and today we are talking the just now released World of Warcraft Dragonflight patch 10.0.7. We are talking the Black Dragonflight and their rather unfortunately missing aspect, and we are talking the two main contenders to fill
that is worth it.
Void. Daddy
So we're going to do the time walking raid. This is 6 weeks straight of time walking. Every week is a different expansion. You get heroic level, item level gear. Heroic Vault of the Incarnates item level gear. That's right. So you can gear up.
And look, you spent the whole first couple of weeks of Dragonflight grinding in the Obsidian Hold for those Black Dragon Scale customization. To support your chosen candidate and help him in his bid to become leader because you care about the future of the flight so much, and so do I. And so the important question is, as 10.07 just chucks a load of new and very important story at us, specifically about the Black Dragonflight, the toxic legacy of their progenitor Neltharian and their half-brothers and sisters, the Drakthea, laying the narrative foundation for 10.1, which is where all of this will be resolved once and for all. Who is set to become the new Black Dragon aspect in Embers of Neltharian? Sibelian or Rathian? Abyssian, of course. Yes, that's right. Completely out of nowhere in a way that no one could have predicted, because we definitely haven't been saying it since before the expansion even began. With the 10.07 campaign quests on the Forbidden Reach, it now looks pretty certain that, in fact, Abyssian, aka Ebonhorn, will in fact take up the mantle of leader and be the aspect of the Earth going forward. Thank goodness, because we need an aspect of the Earth.
Well, I think Taliesin's getting a bit ahead of himself. I don't know if the quest line is hinting that he will be the next one. I definitely think he is the correct candidate, but I don't know if he wants to be a candidate yet. We'll see.
We haven't got one currently. So in this video, we're going to look at exactly how the quests and that incredible cutscene between Abyssian and Scale Commander Emberthal lays the groundwork for all of this. Which means, I guess, it's going to be kind of a cinematic analysis, kind of a lore video. So if you are interested in learning exactly why Ebonhorn is the correct choice for aspect of the Black Dragonflight, and why the new patch story proves it in the most beautiful way, then join us as we ask, why are Abyssian and the Drakthea a perfect match? Okay, go.
The candidates,
So just a
yeah.
tiny bit of a history lesson to get us all up to speed with how we got here in the first place. When Neltharion fell to corruption over 10 millennia ago, betraying the other aspects in the War of the Ancients and becoming Deathwing in the process, he tore a schism in the unity and power of the aspects
Big word there,
that lingers
schism.
to this day, both in terms of their Titan-bestowed aspect power, which they had to all but give up to defeat him in Cataclysm, but also in their relationship to each other. Quite simply, the Friendship is Magic gang haven't been so magic or friendly since the betrayal.
line
And in
test.
Dragonflight, we have been following their attempts to fix both of those problems, restoring the Oathstones to regain their aspect powers, and in their continuing process of coming to terms with the more social problems that they've got going on. And all of that is played
Right.
out in microcosm with the Black Dragonflight itself. Left scattered and rudderless and basically pariahs for a few millennia, the return to their old home has prompted a move by two of the last remaining members of the flight to both make a bid for the leadership. The old grizzled Sibelian, son and right-hand man of Deathwing, who
Yes.
followed him to Draenor and stayed there with his brood even after it got smashed into the Outland, working with players.
He did nothing. Sibelian did nothing. He sat on some eggs in the Outland, man. He did nothing. Rathian, at least, you know, say what you want about his methods. He tried to do shit. He tried to get shit done. My man Sibelian did nothing. Fucking jerked off in the Outland and now comes back claiming his seat on the throne. Get the hell out of here.
In Burning Crusade quests in the Blade's Edge Mountains. He is strong, he is forceful, a brilliant leader and tactician, is smoking hot, but does kind of come with baggage in that he was on Deathwing's side when he was doing all of that evil Deathwing stuff, which isn't great PR. And also the vague suspicion
I think
that
he's
there
still
might
corrupted.
just be the slight danger of lingering old god corruption
Yep.
coming back to cause trouble at like any moment. And then there's Rathian, who is literally like 12 years old, but has a pretty good resume too, having been supposedly
also
the
more
first
handsome.
Black Dragon born free of corruption since all that awkward stuff, and then taking it upon himself to single-handedly hunt down and kill the remaining Black Dragons to cleanse the bloodline. He is also almost entirely responsible for allowing us to resist N'Zoth's corruption and
That's
defeat
right.
him in BFA. So, you know,
That's
he's got
right.
very little to prove.
What was Sibelian doing during this time? Huh? Rathian was giving us a cloak, helping us go into visions of N'Zoth without getting corrupted. Then he single-handedly ripped open the carpus or whatever, the carapace of N'Zoth, so we could go into the raid and actually finish him off. What was Sibelian doing? He was sitting, analing himself on one of the spikes in Blade's Edge. That's it. Who's the correct leader? Come on.
Ability-wise,
choice.
and also he is smoking hot. Unfortunately,
Blackjack
he
and
also
hookers.
has some baggage. Like that time he tried to start a war between the Horde and
Get
Alliance,
busy getting money.
specifically to
Yeah.
wipe one of them out completely, which led to him releasing Garrosh from Super Prison and sending him to AU Draenor, where not only did we have to play
Still one of the coolest cinematic. I mean, look at the sweat. Look at the sweat on this man. This cinematic, the rendering in it, still unbelievable. Still unbelievable to this day. Yes, some people say Rathian's methods were questionable, you know, when he pinned the Alliance and the Horde against each other, but he did have a point in that if these two sides can't unite, then one side is better than two sides because they're hindering each other. Ain't nothing wrong with that. The man was just trying to get shit done.
Warlords of Draenor for 2 years. Curse you, Rathian! But also it's arguable that
So
he
he's
is therefore
responsible
responsible
for
for
what?
Alternate
That's a tough one
Gul'dan,
to
bringing the
explain.
whole Legion to Azeroth in Legion. And basically, there's a lot of innocent blood on this guy's hands. Also, he has a weird habit of getting smacked in the face. Like, it's not a major problem by itself, it's just weird how it keeps happening, you know? In Dragonflight, the rivalry between the cynical old war criminal and the young
Hookers.
rebellious quippy war criminal has been really fun. Entertaining bants galore between these two mass murderers, and despite you being asked explicitly to take a side in the Obsidian Hold dailies, it is quite clear to anyone paying attention that neither is being portrayed as ideally suited to ushering in a new future for the flight. Especially when you factor in the Drakthir, the Black Dragon's brothers and sisters from a different mother, Adamanthia to be precise, who are also struggling to come to terms with their place in Lothlarien's atrocities and how their path forward should progress. Again, there are two different sides
Tough
in
one.
this one. Emberthal and the Plague playable Dracthyr, who are struggling with the associated guilt and confusion of being Nartharian's kids, and the Sundered Flame, who seem more intent on embracing Deathwing's
Slow down, I
legacy
need some
and
channel
claiming
points.
it as their own. Now, 10.0.7 starts to bring closure to all of these storylines, which are set to be tied up properly in 10.1. And there is one common thread that brings them all together: Abyssian. Abyssian was a surprise black dragon who we encountered living among the High Mountain Tauren in Legion. He was purified in the egg by the Hammer of Huln High Mountain and remained among the tribes his entire life, advising each successive chief in turn, which is obviously a very nice thing to do. But it should probably be pointed out that Abyssian also feared leaving the safety of High Mountain because he felt he was especially susceptible to old god corruption if he did. A fear that later proved to be...
Abyssian, you can't blame, man. High Mountain's a beautiful zone, right? These people essentially made sure that he was not corrupted. He was hatched among these people, and he felt like they were his people. So he stayed there and he guided them. A noble act. Now, did he abandon the Black Dragonflight in essence? Yes, he slightly did. But he was also fearful of his, chances to succumb to the corruption of the Void. But let's see. He eventually shows up, and he's a good dude. And I love the line when he gets asked, "Have you ever had to, where were you when we had to bury our own kin?" And he said, "I've never buried any of our own, but I have buried my fellow High Mountain Tauren." So, I mean, such touching lines, and he really was attached to them. He's a good dude, and he thinks with his heart.
Be pretty accurate when we twice see him go on day trips to Kalimdor and almost fall to Dark Whispers, a danger that apparently isn't so much a danger anymore since Rathian helped us to defeat N'Zoth. All this means Abyssian is unburdened with the baggage that haunts Daddy and Twink, having hardly ever mass murdered anyone at all, and so to many players represents a clean slate as a candidate for aspect, which is why so many of us totally backed him from the very start of Dragonflight, even though he didn't give us any dragon riding customizations or sick transmogs or cloak wardrobes or anything. But there was plenty of criticism of the idea from the community too, with many arguing that, okay, he hadn't started any wars, but that's because he hadn't really done much of anything. Right, say what you like about Sibelian and Rathers, but at least they are proactive. At least they are making stuff happen. At least
Well, Sibelian, whatever, he hatched some eggs or something, but he was pretty inactive too. Let's be honest, he was pretty inactive too. The only one who's really done things is Rathian.
Seem to care. Even when they are at each other's throats in the Waking Shores, they still manage to save the Black Dragon eggs and secure a future for the flight. And this is a fair point. Abyssian hasn't even applied for the job. Why this insistence from idiots like me that he should get it? It's a criticism which is actually echoed in-game by Scale Commander Emberthal in the Forbidden Reach questing. And I think it's time to talk about this incredible cutscene and the quests leading up to it, because in my opinion, they make the best case possible as to why Emberthal is the moose cow we need, and in fact, why he is certainly destined to take the role in 10.1. When 10.0.7 opened up this week, there came with it a whole campaign questline that wasn't tested on the PTR, yay Blizz, which focused around Abyssian and Emberthal getting a foothold in the old home/jail of the Dracthyr, hoping to find out some secrets of the past, which they were well on their way to doing, discovering sending stones and messages from Adamanthia to Neltharion, revealing how this mother of the Dracthyr helped create them and then put them on ice, and then got put on ice herself when she refused to send them to Aberrus on Neltharion command. Side note, there is a data mined evoker only 10.1 quest that furthers this story, and which is speculated by many to maybe be how Dracthyr might unlock a third playable evoker
melee spec.
Before Sakareth swoops in with a Sundered Flame, kills all our buddies, and then swoops off again. We run with Emberthal through the beautifully named Dragon Skull Island, which is where Neltharion used to train the Dracthyr and basically brainwash and condition them Big Brother style with constant loudspeaker messages telling them how baller and brutal they are and how much they love Neltharion and they should do what he says before a face-off with Sakareth and the Sundered Flame in the end, when Emberthal refuses to fight him, reasoning that there are too many Sundered Flame between her and him that she would have to kill, and she doesn't want to slaughter any more of her brothers and sisters, allowing Sakareth to get away and start causing trouble in 10.1 and the Aberrus raid. And then comes the cutscene.
This one.
If you were to follow him.
The music, the lines, the emotions. This cutscene alone is better than any storytelling we got in the entirety of Shadowlands. This is such a good cutscene. I felt it, man. This was an emotional one. I loved it.
What would you do?
Extinguish my enemy, as I was trained to.
By Notharian. But this time, the enemy is one of your own.
Which, first of all, I just want to appreciate on a technical level.
So
because
good.
we all know that the real-time in-game cutscenes where your character can pop up in whatever clown suit they're wearing are getting better and better. And this one isn't exactly action-packed. It's just two people talking. But you show me stills of this. Honestly, I have real difficulty telling it apart from one of the fully pre-rendered big-budget in-game cinematics.
Yeah.
Especially any shot where Emberthal is the focus. It is that good. And it's in this cutscene where we really see Emberthal struggle openly with everything that she's dealing with some friendly therapist-type nudges from Abyssian, who almost
Kaelin, you
questions
did the right
whether
thing.
she has it in her to fight
Shadowlands wasn't
her
worth
own
playing, honestly.
kind.
As are the Drakthir that follow him. Soldiers who, like you, were conditioned to claim victory at any cost.
How dare you presume to know us? You, who hid among mortals while other dragons fought and died to protect our world.
And the thing I love most about this entire cutscene are Emberthal's reactions
emotion,
to
man.
Abyssian's prompts, because they just feel so real.
Yeah.
She turns and basically lashes out at Ebonhorn here, once again chiding him for hiding away, doing nothing for all of these years, being angry that
calls
he's
him out
sticking his
straight up.
big, beautiful cow nose into business, which is intensely personal to her.
And every reaction that he has to her reactions is level-headed, calm, and it makes her think about what she's saying. It's so good, man.
Of course,
It's just so
that
good.
reaction is coming from a place of frustration with herself. We
Raw
talked already
emotion, that's
about
what she's
how
showing.
she feels that the sins of her fathers, if you like, are something that she and the other Drakthir need to get away from. And here, she's doubting if she's on the right path. They've just walked through the old Drakthir training grounds where they were sculpted into unthinking killing machines. With that fresh in her mind, there must be a part of her that recognizes that the old Emberthal would happily have cut through Sakareth's followers.
So if Abyssian is like a guidance counselor, Sibelian and Rathian being war babies, is Abyssian training Emberthal for aspect? Oh, no. I think Abyssian himself could be an aspect. That's right. I think Abyssian is realizing that he should be the aspect. And his conversations back and forth right now with Emberthal, they prove that, because he thinks, not with emotion, but level-headedness, even when he's being attacked verbally. His responses are just so well thought out. You'll see him here.
To stop him. The old Emberthal would never have let her compassion for them stop her in achieving her aim. And she knows that Sakareth himself would never show such weakness.
I don't
Indeed,
think-
he didn't think twice about killing her troops.
I don't think one of the Drakthir could be a... what's it called? I don't think they could be an aspect. They're not even full dragons. They're like half dragons.
Just moments ago. So when she accuses Emberthal of being a coward, not for the first time, she is projecting a little bit here. And you know, I'd like you just for a moment to imagine if it was Sibelian or Rathian standing in his place here. How do you think they would react to a Drakthir lashing out in her own frustration?
angry.
I mean, actually, we don't have to imagine
They'd tell
really,
her,
because
"Shut
we've
up,
seen
bitch."
them do it with each other enough. They would respond in kind. They'd
Yep.
fire back, and the entire thing would just descend into a fight, just like it usually does when Sibelian and Rathian
True.
interact in-game. But Abyssian here does the exact opposite.
You're right. I was content to be simply Ebonhorn, and High Mountain was my home.
So good.
I should have done more.
Why didn't you?
He admits she's right.
Yeah.
Hey guys, great
Oh,
news! The
come-
thing that has been eating away at me
Damn
for
it.
ages has finally been resolved. I am so pleased to say that I have
Squarespace.
finally decided on a header image for our website. What website, you say? Why, the one built and sponsored by
You know,
Squarespace,
I'm
you
feeling
silly
the emotion, and then the Squarespace ad hits. You know, I understand. They got to make their
A
money. It's
website,
okay.
an absolute breeze. With an all-in-one
Didn't
platform,
Thrall take
no
the place
plugins,
of
no
the
updates,
Earth
no
Warder
patches
during Dragon
ever,
Soul?
and 24/7,
I think it was. He did, but he
365
lost his
days
aspect
support.
powers
They're
when
always
he when he killed Garrosh.
Firebomb our code to oblivion. But
He kind of fucked that all up for
I
himself.
recently discovered a feature, which has probably been there for ages, which makes Squarespace even
All
more
we needed was the
helpful
knock
analytics.
sound effect.
Now,
Yeah,
you know
yeah, all we
I'm
needed
a
was Cinders
YouTube
to come in.
person, a real wonk for data.
About
And
time,
despite our
really.
publishing schedule
When Thrall
being
cheated, yeah,
a tad
exactly.
irregular,
When Thrall
I do
cheated
spend
in the
a good
Makura,
deal of
yes.
time
He
combing
did
through
cheat. This is
view
very
counts,
true.
watch times, and like-dislike ratios. Gotta love a good ratio. So how cool that I can do the same thing for our website. Apparently,
go,
about
look at that.
75% of you are on desktop, with 25-ish tuning in on mobile. And I'm not even going to talk about the weird sliver of tablet people. Windows and Chrome rule, as usual. US visitors top the charts, and in the last year, we've had one whole visitor from Greenland. Listen, who are you? I have to know more. While I'm not going to share much else behind the scenes, trade secrets and all that, I bet you could do some very exciting data digging
So, I
on
mean,
your
Emberthal
own sites.
could
Wanna
be,
try? Head to squarespace.com
an aspect
for a
in
free
theory.
trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Taliesin Evitel and use code Taliesin Evitel to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/Taliesin Evitel. Hey, Greenland, call me.
And here's the thing, she kind of is right, even if she is projecting through anger. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, no, hang on, Tally, she's not right though, is she? You were just telling me how the reason Abyssian didn't leave High Mountain was because he'd get corrupted. And that's true too. I've seen people call his lines here, where he agrees with her, a plot hole or a retcon as a result. But
No,
the fact is,
I don't
two
think they're a plot
things
hole or a
can
retcon.
be true at once. And just as Emberthal is
That's
annoyed
right.
with herself for essentially doing the right thing, not killing Sakureth's men, wondering if she could have done more to stop him, so Abyssian reveals here that even if his reasons for staying in High Mountain were legit, and we've seen proof that
He was worried about the corruption. It's a valid reason, considering he is a member of the Black Dragonflight, and the Black Dragonflight has been proven to be susceptible to corruption more so than any other Dragonflight. But he was also wrong in doing so. Both are true.
He has the same doubts as the Scale Commander. Could he
Which
have
on
done
second
more to
screen
find a
on my
way to
PC.
safely leave? Could he have fought
I use
harder
my
against the
tablet too. I was
corruption?
just
Could he
teasing.
have actually helped the Black
Especially at night
Dragonflight
sometimes.
instead of just waiting it out? The reason Abyssian can bond with the Drakthir in a way that Rathian and Sibelian can't is because he has the most in common with them. As this cutscene makes clear,
Interesting.
they've both in their lifetimes had to get used to the fact that they are among the last of their kind, thanks to Neltharion. They both have survivor's guilt about that in a way that Sibelian, Rathian, and Sakureth don't. And shame is important here too.
Why didn't you?
Love this line.
Because I too am Neltharion's offspring. And it brought me only shame. I came here to face that. And found you.
You must be disappointed.
Some
Sibelian,
Oscar-worthy-
Rathian,
it's just
and
Oscar-worthy
Sakureth
shit
all
right
view
there.
their role as to inherit Neltharion's legacy in some way. There's an entitlement. Sibelian believes that he's the true heir to the flight because he is the old boss's closest relative. It doesn't matter that Neltharion turned into a monster, he is the rightful leader through inheritance in his view. Rathian feels entitled to become leader because he feels like he's earned it. He has done nothing but try to get the flight back together since he was born, and it doesn't matter to him that he's committed atrocities to do so. And Sakureth feels entitled to the power that Neltharion wielded and discovered because it was the Drakthir that he exploited to create much of that power. By rights, it belongs to him in his opinion. But Emberthal and Abyssian aren't interested in inheriting anything from Neltharion's legacy. They are too deeply ashamed of their connection to him and want to move on and down a completely different path. I think the performances that Dave B. Mitchell and Layla Berzins give here are both brilliant, like genuinely really good.
So
but
good.
the delivery of this line is something else in my opinion.
Will you help?
Why didn't you?
I love this moment so much. Abyssian has succeeded here by being understanding and genuinely understanding. It's not an act. He's taken the edge off of Emberthal's knee-jerk anger, essentially
Calmed
got
her
her
down.
on side. And the way that Layla portrays that in this line, while still just having the last pangs of anger still there in her voice, is exquisite. It's so
good.
real. I just love it. My judgment, that's really good acting, that is. And like Abyssian says, he
That's why I
came to
said
the Dragon Isles
Oscar-worthy.
to try and reckon with that shame and found Emberthal.
I came here to face that. And found you.
You must must be disappointed.
That line is one of the best in any WoW cinematics ever, by the way. As I understand it, this script is a collaboration between Terran Gregory and Christy Golden. So, you know, the big guns were out for
That's
this
why
cutscene,
it's so
and it
good.
shows some of these lines
Christy
are
Golden's great.
electrifying.
No. Just now.
I have to say, like, the pauses, the breaths, the sighs, they add so much more to this whole thing. There's a lot of thinking going on in these characters' minds while they're talking here, and you can tell.
You defied his voice inside you. Chose compassion over violence.
I love when she asks for help after this.
Our
It's so good.
family does not have to live in his shadow.
What Abyssian is saying here is that he has seen in
That's what
Emberthal
he's
someone
realized.
who has conquered in themselves the same doubts that he has in him. He sees her resist a destructive voice inside of her, something he has spent thousands of years afraid he wouldn't be able to do. He sees someone fighting to move out from under the shadow of their father, and it gives him hope. It makes him realize that the Drakthir truly are part of the Black Dragonflight. And you suddenly realize there's a reason that Scale Commander Emberthal has black scales. When, you know, they could have been of any color. It's so that
True.
when these scenes happened in the story, it was easier to see that connection visually. Yes, the Drakthir are made up of power from all the flights, but it was black dragons who created them. It is black dragons who now, in the shape of Ebonhorn, are welcoming them into their family. And whereas Neltharion taught them that their strength came from their ruthlessness and obedience, here Abyssian is telling them, actually, it comes from their compassion and sense of self. When Emberthal almost timidly asks him,
Family. When I awoke, they were gone. All of them. For the first time, I was alone. And it
Puts the hand on her back
terrified me.
right now.
And when Sarkareth killed the others,
Emberthal. He will face justice for what he has done.
So good.
will you help me, Abyssian?
She's not asking as one warrior to another, one
heart.
enemy of Sarkareth to another. She is asking as kin, putting herself in a position of vulnerability in a way she almost certainly never has before.
We will help each other.
And this is why Abyssian is shown to be the real choice
So
for
good.
aspect of the Black Dragonflight. He may not be the
It's so good. So if they mate, would he stay in Tauren form? Yeah, I would assume he'd have to. Considering Drakthir are the size of about a height-wise a Tauren, and if he goes dragon form, just physically, I don't think things would properly fit or mesh, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways, thank you, Tuan. I was wondering this. What is wrong with you guys?
most powerful or the most driven, but he is the
That's where my
only
chat's
one who
at.
has in him the qualities that the flight needs to repair its wounds. The wisdom to see his own failures and shortcomings and understand that the flight's strength comes from the sum of its parts, and making others realize that too. When 10.1 comes along, don't be surprised if he takes a similar approach with Rathian and Sibelian to heal that rift. But for now, the Black Dragonflight is looking towards a bright future, with the Drakthir a major part in shaping it, and Abyssian the clear and obvious choice to lead. What a brilliant quest
is
line.
the
What an
obvious choice, I
incredible
just don't know.
cutscene. What a cool patch narratively,
Don't know.
and seriously,
He
what a
will be.
great flow the story beats have in this expansion
Yeah,
so far.
very good.
Undoubtedly, because of these extra patches that we're getting. I told you it was going to be a good expansion, didn't I? But what do you think?
So
am
far,
I
so
reading
good.
the events of that cutscene and those quests right? Or am I totally and utterly wrong, as usual? And here's why. I want to know why, so let us know in the comments below. Is Abyssian getting set up to be leader? Are the Drakthir officially becoming part of the flight? Will Rathian and Sibelian accept the Moose Cow? And if they don't, does Abyssian really want it enough to convince them otherwise? Let us know in the comments below. And thanks for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give their
Great
actual
stuff.
real life money to make all of our work happen. If you didn't like it,
Yeah, be a
download the
patron,
shit.
all that.
Remember,
If
my name is
to
Christy
to answer
No, my
to
name
answer
is
his
Taliesin
questions.
from me and Evitel and everyone else who lives in our house. There's loads of them. Cheerio.
to answer his questions, I do think the Drakthir will kind of be brought under the umbrella of the Black Dragonflight once it's fully restored. The other question that Abyssian is being set up to be the leader. he's certainly being set up to be a major player in the Black Dragonflight. Whether or not he's going to be the actual figurehead of it, I'm still questioning. I just don't know how Sibelian and Rathian reconcile with Ebonhorn becoming the leader. They're both so strong-headed on it. I don't know how they write the story for them to accept that. It's a tough one. But most definitely, I think he is the rightful, not rightful, I guess, but most well-qualified in terms of, his ability to think rationally and lead. He would definitely be the best leader of the three.